Welcome to NFL World, where NFL starts and ends. I'm your host, Jacob. And we're doing this on a Tuesday. Hang on a second. There we go. That's way better. We're doing this on a Tuesday instead of a Monday or Wednesday. Because there will not be a show on Wednesday. And there wasn't enough news for Tuesday, for Monday, excuse me. I was trying to see how much I could put together. So, here's what we came up with. First of all, if you heard on, I believe it was Friday, Justin Simmons signed with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, he had kind of flirted with the Falcons a little bit. He also flirted with the Saints. I think the Falcons were better for what he wanted to do. It's a one-year deal, $8 million, $7.5 million base salary, and I believe 7 of that salary is guaranteed. So he's basically getting a full guaranteed contract. At this time of year, and you're in August, you're not a great player if you're still out there, or you're asking for a lot of money. The same goes for Stephon Gilmore, who signed on Sunday. Now, Gilmore visited with the Vikings on last Monday, and nothing came of it. And then Sunday, he announced that he signed one-year deal, $10 million, $7 million guaranteed. Now, let's go through Justin Simmons first. Joining an Atlanta team who traded for Matthew Judon to help out Grady Jarrett, and a secondary that already has Jesse Bates and AJ Terrell. It's a good secondary. Bringing in Justin Simmons makes it a potentially great one. The things that he can do. He's a very smart guy. Kind of surprised he's still out there. And the thing is, with both these guys, you didn't hear a whole lot. So, Justin, Bo, and Stephon were both very much still really talented players. They're not exactly what they were in their primes. That's kind of the reason why they wouldn't sign it. I think, anyway. In the case of Stephon Gilmore, it was playing time, I think he was really looking for. Playing time and money. And nothing happened. Just nothing happened. And, there was talk of he could go to Dallas. He could go to all these other teams. Why is he not signing? And I think it was playing time. I think he wanted to be a starter. But in the Cowboys' reasoning, they get Trayvon Diggs back. They saw what Devon Bland could do on the outside. Jordan Lewis got better as the year went along. They didn't feel like they needed it. Plus the money, they were not going to pay $10 million. That's just not what they were doing. And I'm assuming that's the same for a lot of teams. The Vikings are in desperate need of help. They need so much help in the secondary. They bring in Shaquille Griffin. He goes down with an injury. You need help. And bringing in a guy like Stephon Gilmore, you're going to give him whatever he wants. Gilmore is 33 years old. It wasn't that shocking that he wasn't signed for the amount that he wanted until August. Now, let's bring this all together. The reason every once in a while this happens, where a part of the free agency market is just not moving. It just doesn't move for whatever reason. Could be money, could be injuries, could be age, whatever. In this case, it was 2 of the 3. it was money, and it was age. And probably another thing was playing time was also in there. Gilmore, Howard, Xavier Howard, formerly of the Dolphins, and Simmons, I would assume, did not want to lose playing time, but also wanted a lot of money. And because of their age, it's harder to come by if you're not a dominant player year in and year out. So, because Xavier Howard, and the reason I brought him up was he's also the same age as Gilmore. He's 33 years old. Both those guys have had injury issues, either the last year or the last couple of years. Both are still really good. They're just not what they were in their prime, or have had injuries that have derailed them a little bit. So, and don't want to be backups. Now, Simmons, maybe it's not 100% the same thing, but it was quiet. It was quiet for Jeffrey Simmons. Although, I did it again. I've been saying Jeffrey Simmons all day. Justin Simmons. And that's kind of why it happened. The secondary free agency was very quiet for the most part. Don't know why, just kind of was. It became very stagnant. Happens sometimes. All right, moving on into. All right, so former. I want to make sure I got this. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. So the Buccaneers had signed a player. Let's say it this way: a player named Randy Gregory. All right. Now, Cowboys fans know him. Broncos fans know him. 49ers briefly know him. They know that this guy can be a great player. But because of inner demons, and injuries, he's not been great. In fact, Dallas went and I I thought they played right by him. They did everything they could, and he didn't like it. And the Broncos tried, and man, he wasn't that good. And then he went to San Francisco, and yeah, kind of all right, decent, not really. So he signs with the Buccaneers this offseason. Chose not to show up. Didn't show up. Was AWOL for months. Didn't show up. Finally, the Buccaneers this past week decided it was time to let him go. They released him. Why did it take so long? I don't know. Maybe they figured he'd show up at some point. He was nursing an injury. Maybe they had contact with him. I don't know. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first player that I've ever seen that has signed a contract that went AWOL and just never showed up. I believe this is the first time I've ever seen it. It might not be, but I believe it is. Happy Tuesday to you too, Dan. But I believe this is the first time I've ever seen this. So this is a shock. It's honestly, I shouldn't be surprised about this, but I am. I shouldn't be surprised about this, but I am. I really am. Because this is the guy who he's never it's like he's never fully trusted anybody in this league. And everyone's tried to help him. He's like he had the addiction issues and the Cowboys tried to help him through that. And a lot of times he would go get suspended, indefinitely suspended, and then the Cowboys would put out the paperwork, and he'd put out the paperwork and get reinstated and get suspended again. They do the whole process over and over again. A lot of guys would have cut bait. The Cowboys didn't cut bait. They kept him. They kept him. They kept trying, and probably probably ruined his development, of course. But they kept trying, and he had a good year, and then it was up for a new contract, and Cowboys put a clause, as many teams do. They put a clause in the contract where if there's an injury or if there's a substance abuse problem, that they can release you and they don't have to pay you. A lot of teams do that, but at least the Cowboys do it, and it's in every contract they do. And he didn't like it, so he left. Joins the Broncos for basically the same exact deal, was just not that kind of wood. Didn't work in Denver. Gets traded to San Francisco. Doesn't really work. Goes to Tampa. Doesn't show up. I don't know. This seems like a guy who doesn't trust people, and also doesn't have the relationships with these people. I'm not taking a chance on it. Kind of how it works. That it shouldn't shock me, yet somehow it does. All right, let's start with this Raiders quarterback situation before we go to. Oh, dang it! Hang on. There we go. Let's start with this Raiders quarterback situation. Before we go into the Tua Flores situation, because I have a lot to say about that. So, the Raiders quarterback situation, the Las Vegas Raiders played the Dallas Cowboys in the preseason game for week number 2. Dallas was playing the backups, and the Raiders were playing the ones for a little bit. And Gardner Minshew was the quarterback with the ones. And he had, I believe, 5 drives. It was a little alarming in a way for the Raiders from the ones, especially from Minshew. He missed some throws, threw to the wrong guy. He has the post, he throws the over route, not the right. So in that situation, and a veteran should know that. And he throws the wrong route. Almost got picked a couple times. Like, just didn't play well. Put Aiden O'Connell in there. Had a couple drives. At the end of the first half, tries to do the 2-minute drill, doesn't work out. Go into the second half, plays a little bit. Nothing too impressive. Nothing deep down the field. Throws a pick and was taken out. But it was, if I'm the Raiders, I'm whelmed. Because after, this game was a Saturday. Sunday, Antonio Pierce, says Gardner Minshew's the quarterback for week 1. But it was a long game. Both of them had about 41, 42 passes. It was a total of 41 or 42 passes for each combined stuff. That was what it was. So they didn't throw the ball a whole lot. And they both, if you combine it, I think they went 20 of 41 or 20 of 42. That's not great. And like 199 yards or a little over 200 yards. It was not much from a passing game perspective. And they didn't run it well either. So it was bad. I would be well. I guess if anyone did play better, it was Aiden O'Connell. But that's not a high bar. So yes, I am well. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. So moving on to the Flores and Tua talking about Brian Flores. Let me actually get what he said. Because I want to almost put this out verbatim to what was said. I might actually have to look it up. But when talking about Flores, let me see if I can find it. Okay, let me look this up. There we go. So this was put. I'm going to read this off NFL.com. But CNN's got this. Fox Sports News got this. But we're going to read it off NFL.com. It says, Tua Tagovailoa criticizes Brian Flores' coaching in candid comments. So, hang on. There it goes. It goes, the first part of the article says, Tua had a career best in 2023. He played in every regular season game. This was an achievement. He said he made massive mental strides with McDaniel. He said it was difficult when he created the deficit in his first 2 years. Tua started, to put it in simplest terms, but he was on the Dan Le Batard show. When asked to describe what was happening, he said, if you woke up every morning and I told you that you suck, at what you did, that you didn't belong doing what you were doing, that you shouldn't be here, that this guy should be here, that you haven't earned it the right, that you have, and then you have someone else come and tell you, dude, you are the best fit. You are accurate. You are the best whatever. You are this. You are that. How would that make you feel listening to one or the other? You see what I'm saying? He continued. And then you hear it and hear it. Regardless of what it is, good or bad, and you hear it more and more, you start to actually believe that. I don't care who you are. You could be the President of the United States. If you are a terrible person, this is what got a lot of things. If you are a terrible person that's telling you these things that you don't want to hear, probably shouldn't be hearing, you're going to start to believe that about yourself. That's the sort of thing that ended up happening. It's basically been 2 years of training that out of not just me, but of a couple guys as well that have been here since my rookie year. So we're gonna stop there with it, and we're just gonna go and kind of do this circle. Let's start with the reason of Brian Flores was it what we not a great coach, or as Tua put, terrible person. Every time you have a Belichick assistant, they always want to be Belichick. And it doesn't take a smart person who makes millions of dollars to notice this. Go through the list. Go through the last 3 assistants that have gotten head coaching jobs from Belichick. Just go through it. Go through Flores, McDaniels, Patricia. Go through it. And you say, wow, they're not good. What happened? What did they do so wrong? They learned from one of the greatest or the greatest to ever do it. What went so wrong? And the answer is they tried to be Belichick without a pedigree. Now, it wasn't like Belichick was a great coach when he started off. When he went to Cleveland, he was not great except for 1 year. But he wasn't great. When he went to New England, he became great because he had Brady. He had all these great players and a great coaching staff. But that's because you had faith in what he could do. Because you knew, okay, he did coach Lawrence Taylor. He was a coach here in New England. He went to the Jets, and he was a good coach there. Like, these were things that were happening. But that's because he earned that pedigree. He earned it. All these other guys, they haven't earned it. They earned it in one location. They didn't earn it in another. That's the issue. They learned under the Belichick coaching tree. They didn't go somewhere else and learn. That's an issue. They started at one place. That was a problem for the coaching. That was issues. So what happened was probably that. The way that they saw the way Belichick talked to Tom and said, if Tom Brady, because Brady wanted to be coach hurt, and he told Belichick that, and that's how Belichick coached him. There was no, I'm sorry. Did you feel bad at what I said? Maybe I should apologize. No, there was none of that. Now, they saw that and they said, well, if Tom Brady's getting that, then yeah, any quarterback should get that. That's what they saw. Now, that's a problem because that's not fully what happened. But they didn't know that. They also saw that Belichick was the GM, that they could be the GM. So there was an ego now that was bigger than the actual team because they wanted to do more. You saw that with Bill O'Brien. Pretty good coach. When he became the GM, became an abysmal coach. Just what happens because he decimated the roster because he doesn't know what he's doing. Now, let's go to the Tua side of why Tua is wrong. And this isn't really Tua, more or less. This is just the time that we live in. The time that we live in of players don't want. Like, you hear this a lot. Great players want to be coached hard. I heard that, I think, yeah, it was on Saturday. Rich Gannon, who was doing the game for the Raiders broadcast, he was saying, great players want to be coached hard. And I have a somewhat disagreement with that. You think that, and some probably do, but there's a lot of players that they don't want that. They want to be like cradled more. They don't want to be just slapped on the butt all the time. I mean, they want that, but they don't want to be screamed at. They don't want to be screamed at. They want to be, it's okay. I can give you the best example. Terry Bradshaw, when he was a young player and went to Pittsburgh, he's like, when I was in college or in high school, I had all those coaches that I threw like 3 picks. And they'd be like, hey, don't worry about it, TV. We'll get him next time, TV. It's okay, Terry. We'll go in the next thing. Boom, 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 boom. They go down the field and they score a touchdown. Oh, okay, it's great. They didn't say anything bad to him. He goes to Chuck Noll, no nonsense guy. He starts saying bad things to him. He starts pulling him by the face mask. He starts grabbing his arm as a control method. It worked eventually because Bradshaw became scrappy, went to the Hall of Fame, and won Super Bowls. Actually, it should be a little bit better, but you know what I mean. So it does work. Did you like Coach No? No. Now, is that what Tua is saying? Because I think Tua was like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I can't be coached like that. I need people to tell me how great I am. And that's a problem sometimes. That can be a problem. This can be great, but it can be a problem. And before we leave, I want to say this. I do believe a lot of the hard coaches that coach difficult but are not telling you how great you are all the time, they are tough-minded coaches that are going to be tough on you, get the best out of you. I think those coaches are gone or leaving the game, not because of their age, but because of the players don't want that anymore, and so therefore that is leaving the game. The best example of this is the Bill Belichick's or the Vic Fangios. Let's do Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio was with the Dolphins. At the end of the season, that defense was held together by duct tape, clothespins, paper clips, some glue, whatever they held it with. It was amazing that they were able to hold that with the amount of issues they had on the defensive line with the injuries. It was insane. These injuries, they were all like Achilles injuries, ACL injuries, injuries that took him out for the rest of the year. There was nothing they could do. And somehow that was kept together, and it became a really good defense. And that's because of Vic Fangio and the group of players he had. Vic Fangio was like, they parted ways. They said, oh, it's mutual and all that stuff. He wanted to be near his family. No. I mean, maybe he wanted to be part of his family, sure. They would not have let him go if they felt he wanted to go. There was probably someone, either in ownership or in the coaching room, like, or even the players, probably like, I don't want to be coached this hard. This is hard. This is really hard. And even though this was probably the best thing for us, I don't want to do this. I just don't want to. And I think that's what happened here. He left because the players were like, I don't want to coach this hard. I want to be told I'm great all the time. I want to be loved. I put it this way. Vic Fangio is a disciplinarian pet. Alright? He's a guy who he's going to teach you right and wrong. He's going to teach you all these things, these lessons. And then there's a parent of just wants to be a buddy. Just wants to be the buddy. Doesn't want to coach hard. Doesn't want to coach you hard. Just wants to say how great you are. How good you are. Just wants to be a buddy. Hey, you want to go play games? Sure, let's do that. But when it comes down to the serious things, they don't want to say it. That's this. That is what this is. Fangio didn't want to be that fun-loving guy. Doesn't want to be the guy who is going to always be. Doesn't want to be the guy who wants to be like, hey, you're so great, you don't need to work hard. He wants to be the guy who's like, no, you have to work hard to be great. And I'm going to push you to that point to be great. Not saying that those other guys don't do that, but they just don't push you as hard. So the greatness is not coming out of you that quickly. It's taking years more than it should. And he went to Philadelphia. Fangio did. He's going to turn that program defensively into a really tough son of guns. Because they are going to look at it and say, dude, we got attitude because we brought back Gardner Johnson. But now we got a coach who's going to make us go and say, here we go. This is tough-minded. This is pure Philadelphia, tough-minded, cold, blue-collar kind of stuff. That's going to work well. You know that. But because I don't want to be coaching that hard, or it makes us look bad. Say what you want. That's the reason. He was like, oh, it wasn't because he wanted to leave. It was because they wanted him gone. Same thing goes for Flores. For NFL World, I'm Jacob Hebert. Out.